Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us today. We're pleased to be joined by Coyotes General Manager Bill Armstrong, who signed a multi-year contract extension with the Coyotes today. If you have a question for Bill, please click on Raise Your Hand, and we'll start things off with Craig Morgan from PHNX. Go ahead, Craig.
Hey, Bill. Just first off, congratulations. How you feeling today?
Pretty good. It's an exciting time. It's one of those things where, when you get your first contract and you get your shot in the NHL to be a GM, and then you think, oh my God, would I be honored enough to get a second deal? And now here we are with that contract. So it's an exciting day for myself, my family, and also for the staff and the organization.
I'm sure we're going to talk about what's ahead in a moment here, but when you first took this job, did you have a sense of what was ahead, and how much did that sense evolve or change as you went through the years?
Yeah, like I always tell the story. When I went to take the job, someone that was close to me said, "Don't take that job. There's a lot more coming at you than you think." But I kind of knew what I was getting into in some ways, where the team was at and what it had to be done. I think the approach was to take a year, go back, look at it, and see where we're going to be at, and then really kind of make concrete steps with that. So for myself, we had a plan coming in. Obviously, with COVID there, it created a flat cap, and we tried to take advantage of that through that. Accumulating draft picks and so on. And sometimes you get fortunate and some deals come your way and you try to make the most of them. And I think we did that with some of the trades we were able to pull off.
Sticking with that for a moment, and I know a lot of the evaluation is yet to come with these draft picks and what this team is able to accomplish. But looking back on what you've accomplished so far with that plan in mind of accumulating draft capital, of trying to find good value contracts, how do you evaluate yourself so far?
That's an interesting question. You're just so busy in the job moving forward, you tend not to look back. But when I look back on some of the deals that we were able to do, and change the culture, there's a lot of things to go through. I guess there's a lot of things that have happened since I first took the job, and we moved out some key players of the Coyotes, and that kind of gave us a little bit of relief from salary cap. And also was able to acquire some players through the process, because you have to remember, when I first came through the door, there was no draft picks. The NHL had taken away the draft picks. So, the thought was for us, how are we going to do that? How are we going to acquire draft picks? And we were able to move OEL at the time and Connor Garland to help us kind of make that next step. And soon enough we were drafting, Dylan Guenther, and then, we're able to move out some other trades and move up the leaderboard and acquire, obviously the opportunity to draft Geekie and Lamoureux. So I think in the last 3 years, we've had 6 draft picks, in the first round. So that's a pleasure to have. But there's a lot of things that you go through that you forget about that we accomplished. And it was just trying to make one good decision and stack it on the next good decision. And I think we got lucky in a couple of things with the flat cap not moving and people having to get rid of some salary. That really helped us out. We had some pain as we took on some bad deals, and unfortunately our poor coach coming through the door after I hired him, but it allowed him also to change our culture and demand more, and he's done a great job with that. So we've changed coaches, and we're able to rebuild from behind the scenes, the amateur scouting, to be able to get Daryl and Ryan and the rest of the staff on board, hiring a new coaching staff, basically a new pro staff, which wasn't here before, creating an analytic department, and also a development department. So there's a lot of things that, go on behind the scenes to building a championship organization. One of the things that I sold the Morello family on when I came through the door was, if you're going to be a championship organization on the ice, you have to build one off the ice. And that's with your sports science, that's your strength and conditioning, it's your consultants like Larry Plow, and obviously everything we do negotiate, it's David Ludwig behind the scenes, it's John Ferguson. There's a lot of key components that go on to having a great, championship organization behind the scenes. So That's been an enjoyable part, but I feel the organization's in a good place because of all the departments and the experience that those departments have, and it allows us to make better decisions.
Last one from me, Bill, and you alluded to this in your first answer. When you get that first contract, you don't know if you're going to get that second contract. This is a very volatile industry. I would imagine it's gratifying in a way to at least have the opportunity to finish what you started.
Yeah, that's a big thing in negotiating this contract for myself was, you come in here, you make all these moves, you start to get it going in a direction, and you keep pushing, and now you're acquiring picks, now you're drafting players, and we've been able to recruit some really strong free agents into our team, add some key pieces, the Jack McBains, the Veg Malkas, and now you can start to see it come together. And inside you want to finish what you started, and this contract allows me to do that.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it, and once again, congrats.
Thank you.
We go next to Richard Syons with Fox 10. Go ahead, Rich. I think your mute's on, Rich. Sorry.
Hey, Bill. Congrats on the new deal.
Thank you.
Bear got one extension as well.
Yeah.
Now what kind of message does this send to you guys from the organization when it comes to kind of piggybacking off what you said about finishing what you started?
Yeah, well, I think stability. I think we've had some unfortunate circumstances with the rink in Tempe that didn't kind of go our way. And I think the ownership wanted to show to everybody that there's stability here. There's stability in the desert, and we're going to go out and sign good people to see this thing through. And I think that's kind of the message what's been sent. I think, when people are wondering about the new rink that's going to be built for us, there's a lot of worry, but you can take a lot of that out, and you can get people to concentrate on doing their job better when they know they're going to be here and be with the organization for a while. And I'm a big believer in stability. I know I can tell you a story when I was with the Blues, and we were in a bad stretch, and Doug Armstrong walked in and signed the whole basically amateur scouting staff. It showed a lot of confidence within, and created a lot of stability, and it got people worried about concentrating, I guess, on the right things and not where their next paycheck's going to come, but concentrating on doing their job better and helping the organization become a championship organization. That's what we've done here.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned the new arena and that whole situation. Do you think that sends a message to the fan base as well, not just you guys within the organization, that hey, we're committed to you as people, but we're committed to this market?
Yes, I agree. This is a great market. I've had the ability, been very fortunate to live in here. I didn't know much about the desert before I moved here. It's a special place. People have just welcomed my wife in and their family. It's been incredible. It has the best weather in the world. It's just an incredible place to work out. It is a privilege to play hockey in the desert. And, we want to be an organization that bring back playoff hockey and get the fans excited and get the whiteouts going and really bring the Coyotes back to the way that they originally came in the door here. And that's the goal through and through is to become a playoff team every single year. And I think we've made strides. We're not quite there yet. I believe we're a competitive team. We're getting there. We still got some steps to take, but you can see the goodness and the good players coming in, and the Mosers of the world, the Coolies of the world, the Gunthers of the world, and they're just taking baby steps here. But they're going to be the guys driving the bus coming when we're pushing to get in the playoffs.
Like you mentioned, you had somebody close to you say, "Hey, don't go there. You don't know what you're getting into." When you look back at how far you guys and you yourself have come from when you first got here, how gratifying is it to see, okay, we've made some progress here?
Well, I think it is. I think it's, when there's something that has to be done in our office, whether it's contract negotiations, it's development, it's analytics or whatever, there's somebody, that you can easily give it to them, and you have faith that they have the ability to go out and get it done. And when I first took the job, the salary cap guy was just was our player development guy. Like we didn't have, there wasn't anything there. So it was actually, to be honest with you, it was pretty frightening. Some of the first few meetings, I don't know if I've ever been, that scared in my life, because there just weren't the people in place to kind of get the job done properly. We've got that under control now, but there's some funny moments when I first came through the door for sure.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Patrick Brown with ArizonaCoyotes.com. Go ahead, Patrick.
Hey, Bill, congratulations on the
Thanks.
extension. Just one question from me, actually kind of piggybacking off what you just said. Is there anything that's surprised you that was unexpected or that you learned in the 3 years that you've been a general manager in the NHL?
Well, I'll just tell you a funny story was when I first took over, the ice was so bad and there was all these rumors that the ice in the Gila were, was popping knees because they would dig into the ice. And so we went in and tried to study, the rink and tried to produce better ice. We found out there's 3 different wells and we got new Zambonis. And the guy said, well, I think there's a button back here that's never been pressed. And it was a dehumidifier button. And I'm like, well, what do you mean it's never been pressed? He goes, nobody's ever turned it on. I go, well, how old is it? It's like 17 years old, and I'm like, well, someone's got to push the button. We got to find out if we can improve the ice. So we pushed the button and it ended up working. So that was kind of a weird one for me coming through the door, in the Gila Arena. But I think the one thing that surprised me probably, and I'll tell this story about Clayton Keller, is that people through the draft. That's what I did, and I always liked Kells in his draft year, but getting to know him, and when I was with the Blues, we had massive buy-in by the guys like Peter Angelo and Ryan O'Reilly had joined our team, and those guys had pushed us into a great place. And with Clayton got injured a couple of years ago, it was a brutal injury, and to see how hard he had to fight to come back and become a better player and not miss a game. I was so inspired by that, and just being around him. Kells is a competitor. The greatest thing that people don't know about him is that this guy lives and breathes hockey. Like, he's on the ice all summer working on a shot. He's doing all the little things. So those are a couple of the surprises. Probably, the first one's a funny one, but the second one is one of our best players, and he might be the best Coyote ever in the end. Is just a passionate guy, and I didn't know that was in him. From being around him, and how pissed off he was last year at the trade deadline. With the fire that he had, you could see, and that's a good thing. He's here to lead, and he wants to make us the best. The best team in the Valley here. That's his goal. He wants to make sure that we get a chance to win a championship here in the desert.
Thank you. Great. Congrats again.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Leah Merrill with PHNX. Go ahead, Leah.
Hi, congratulations.
Thanks, Leah.
I wanted to ask, obviously, when you stepped into this role, it was full on rebuild mode, and you can kind of see the way that the team has changed in this offseason. It's kind of that next step around the corner, and with this deal now in place for you to be here a little bit longer, just want to know from you how you measure success for yourself in this next phase here and success for the team.
Well, that's a great question. I think it's a lot of steps that you have to take. We have to become a better team than we were last year. There's some steps that we have to take. I believe we can take those steps. The players this year are a lot different than they were last year. They didn't really know what they had last year coming in as a team, and now people are really excited about coming to play for us. The guys are in earlier. You can see them practicing. So success for myself and the franchise is taking some small steps this year to become a better team, which also allows us to buy some time for our younger players, the Lamoureux of the world, the Geekies of the world, Simashevs and the Boots, allowing them to kind of mature and then eventually join our team in 3 years. But where we want to get to, obviously this year is improve, and the following year really push to make the playoffs. So where I'll measure success is probably in 2 ways. Can we get in the next few years into playoffs? And then the next part of the success is, are we a team that, you can say, okay, every year these guys should get in. That to me, as long as, we continue to grow and move forward in allowing our players to kind of get in there, younger players to get in there, and our team gets better and better. That's how I'll measure the success. Obviously Craig Morgan and his staff will have different measures for us, but internally that's how you measure it. And I think as an organization, there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes with analytics, sports science, strength development, that we also measure ourselves on. But we want to become the best organization possible off the ice too. We want to have great departments that push every envelope we can to become the best we can be. You know, it's a small line between winning or losing to get into the playoffs, to win your first round in the playoffs, and to continue to work. It's a very, very small line, and it's all the little things that you do behind the scenes that can help you, and become that championship organization. So it's going to be a fun ride. I'm looking forward to it, and it's little small steps to measure our success.
Thank you.
Go next to Brian Kay with Fox 10. Go ahead, Brian.
I was just wondering, are you guys any closer to acquiring the land in Northwest Mesa to build a new arena?
Brian, I'm going to give you the same answer that I gave every single player we recruited and we won this summer. I always tell them because I say to them, I say, well, you get to ask me one question in the interview process, and they say, yeah, what about the rink? And I say, listen, I don't build rinks. I build organizations and teams. I don't build rinks. The last rink I built was in the backyard in Warwick, Rhode Island, and it melted. I think I only had 11 days out of it, but I don't handle that department. And I think you got to, talk to, our president and ownership group about, the land. I try to kind of keep out of that. I'm hoping that we have a home. I think if we can get this accomplished sooner rather than later, and get a piece of land and start the build, we're going to have a great advantage on the NHL to recruit some of the best free agents to come play here. With our taxes and our situation, it's one of the number one living places for wives in the NHL is Arizona. And if we can produce that quality of organization on the ice, we're going to get some of the top players. We're a rink away from it. I'd love to see it for our fans too. That'd be the highlight for me as a GM, to walk in there on opening night and have all the fans in white and have a championship team on that organization, and everybody cheering in the desert. That's our goal. That's what we want to do. And hopefully that can come true sooner rather than later. But if I do get any updates, Brian, on it, I'll call you first. All right.